25th section of Adi Parva, Astika Parva continues. Southi said, then that bird of great strength and energy and capable of going at will to every place, repaired to his mother's side on the other side of the great ocean. Thither lived Vinita in affliction, defeated in wager and put into state of slavery. Once Kadru calling Vinita, who had prostrated herself before the former, addressed her these words in the presence of her son. O gentle Vinita, there is in the mindset of the ocean in a remote quarter, a delightful and fair region inhabited by the Nagas, bear me thither. And this, that mother of the bird of the fair feathers bore on her shoulders the mother of the snakes. And Garuda, also directed by his mother words, carried on his back the snakes. And the ranger of the skies, born of Vinita, began to ascend towards the sun, and thereupon the snakes, scorched by the rays of sun, swooned away. And Kadru, seeing her sons in that state, prayed to Indra, saying, I bow to you, O Lord of the gods. I bow to you, O slayer of Prithra. I bow to you, O slayer of Namuchi. O you of thousand eyes, consort of Sachi, by your showers. Be you the protector of the snakes scorched by the sun. O thou best of the deities, thou art our great protector. O Purandara, thou art able to grant rain in torrents. Thou art Vayu, the clouds and fire and the lightning of the skies. Thou art the propeller of the clouds, and hast been called the great cloud, that which will darken the universe at the end of Yuga. Thou art fierce and incomparable thunder and roaring clouds. Thou art the creator of the worlds and the destroyer. Thou art unconquered. Thou art the light of all creatures, Aditya. Thou art Vishnu. Thou art a thousand eyes. Thou art a god and the final resource. Thou art, O deity of all Amrita and the most adorned Soma. Thou art the moment, the lunar day, the Bala. Bala is a minute. Thou art the Kshana, 4 minutes. Kshana is 4 minutes. Thou art lighted fortnight. Thou art the dark fortnight. That's Krishna Paksha and the Sukla Paksha. Thou art Kala, Kasta. Thou art Kasta. Thou art Truti. These are all divisions of time. Thou art the year, the 6 seasons, the months, the night, the days. Thou art the fair earth with her mountains and forests. Thou art also the firmament, that is the sun, resplendent with sun. Thou art the great ocean with heaving billows and abounding with whales, swallows of the whales, makaras, and various fishes. Thou art of great renown, always adored by the wise and the great rishis with mind wrapped in contemplation. Thou drinkest for good of all creatures the soma juice in sacrifices and clarified butter offered with sacred invocation. Thou art always worshipped at sacrifices by Brahmanas, moved by desire of fruit. O thou of incomparable mass of strength, thou art sung in the Vedas and Vedangas. It is for the reason the learned Brahmanas bent upon performing sacrifices, study the Vedas with every care. This ends the 25th section of Astika Parva of Adi Parva. 26th section, Adi Parva continues. In Astika, it is Astika Parva still. Sauti said, and then Indra, the king of gods, having the best of horses for his bearer, thus adorned by Kadru, covered the entire firmament with masses of blue clouds. And he commanded the clouds, saying, pour ye your vivifying and blessed drops. And those clouds, luminous with lighting and incessantly roaring against each other in the welkin, poured abundant water and the sky. In consequence of those wonderful and terribly roaring clouds that were incessantly begetting vast quantities of water, looked as if end of Yuga had come. And in the consequence of myriads of waves caused in the falling of torrents, the deep roar of the clouds, the flashes of lighting, the violence of the wind, and the general agitation, the sky looked as if it's dancing in madness. The sky became overcast, and the rays of the sun and moon totally disappeared in consequence of this incessant downpour. And upon Indra's causing this downpour, The Nagas became exceedingly delighted, and the earth was filled with water all around, and the cool, clear water reached even the nether regions, and there were countless waves of water all over the earth, and the snakes with their mother reached safety, island called Ramanyaka. This is the 25th section of Astika Parva of the Adi Parva. The weather now is similar. It's now 16 degrees, and the sky is with clouds and heavy winds that has even pulled down the tent which we have put outside, and also the board of the temple that possibly you can see now that has also fallen down. You can see the uh, weather, how the trees are hanging around. Just this parva, when I'm reading about the rain, this incessant showers. Since morning, we had some sunshine, and now it is a bit cloudy and a bit cold weather at 16 degrees temperature. Section 27. Sauti said in Astika Parva. And then the Nagas, drenched by that shower, became exceedingly glad, and borne by that bird of feathers, they soon arrived at the island. The island has been fixed by the creator of the universe as the abode of Makaras. There they saw the terrible salt ocean called Lavana Samudra. On arriving there, Garuda saw this beautiful forest washed by the waters of the sea and resounding with music of winged choirs. There were the clusters of trees all around, laden with fruits and flowers, and there were also fair mansions all around, and the many tanks of full lotuses, and with adorned. It was also adorned with many lakes of pure water, as if it is refreshed with pure incense breathing breezes. And it was adorned by many a tree that grew only in the hills of Malaya, and seemed by their tallness to reach the very heavens. And these are also there were also very various other trees whose flowers were shattered all over by the breeze, and the forest was charming and dear to the Gandharvas and always gave them pleasure. It was full of bees, maddened with honey that they sucked, and the sight of this was exceedingly delightful. In the consequence of many things there, capable of charming everybody, that forest was fair, delightful, and holy. The echoing of the notes of various birds that delighted greatly the sons of Kadru. And the snakes, after arriving in the forest, began to enjoy themselves. They were commanded the Lord of birds, Garuda of great energy, saying, convey us to some other fair island with pure water, thou ranger of the skies. Thou must have seen many fair regions while coursing. Garuda, after reflecting for a few moments, asked his mother Vinita, why, mother, I have to do the bidding of the snakes? Vinita thus questioned. Him spake upon to the ranger of the skies, her son, invested with every virtue of great energy and great strength as follows. Vinita said, O thou best of the birds, I have become from misfortune the slave of my co-wife. The snakes, by the acts of deception, caused me to lose my bet and have made me so. When his mother had told him the reason, the ranger of the skies, dejected with grief, addressed the snakes, saying, tell me, a snakes, by bringing what thing, gaining a knowledge of what thing, or doing what act of prowess, we may be freed from this state of bondage to you. Sauti continued. The snakes, hearing him, said, bring thou Amrita by force. Then, O bird, shall you be freed from bondage. And so ends the 25th, 27th section of Astika Parva in Adi Parva. Astika Parva continues in 28th section. Sauti said, Garuda, thus addressed by the snakes, then said unto his mother, I shall go and bring Amrita. I desire to eat something in the way. Direct me to it. Vinita replied, in a remote region in the midst of the ocean, the Nishadas have their fair home. Having eaten the Nishada, thousands of Nishadas that live there, bring thou Amrita. But let not thy heart be ever set on taking the life of a Brahmana. Of the creatures, of all the creatures, a Brahmana must not be slain. He is indeed like fire. A Brahmana, when energy becomes like fire or the sun, like poison or an edged weapon. A Brahmana, it has been said, is a master of all creatures. For these other reasons, Brahmana must is adored of the virtuous. O child, he is never to be slain by thee, even in anger. Hostility with Brahmanas, therefore, would not be proper under any circumstances. O sinless one, neither Agni nor Surya truly can consume so much. So does a Brahmana of rigid vows. When angry by these various indications, thou must know a good Brahmana. Indeed, a Brahmana is the first born of all creatures and the foremost of the four orders, the father and the master of all. Garuda then asked, O mother, what is a form of Brahmana? Of what behavior and of what prowess? Doth he shine like fire, or he is tranquil, he of tranquil mien? And his mother, it behoved thee to tell my inquiring self those auspicious signs by which I may recognize a Brahmana. Vinita replied, O child, him should thou know at the best amongst the Brahmanas, and having entered thy throat, would torture thee as a fish hook or burn thee as blazing charcoal. A Brahmana must never be slain by thee even in anger. Vinita, out of affection for her son, again told him these words. Him should thou know as a good Brahmana who would not be digested in thy stomach. Although she knew that incomparable strength of her son, yet she blessed him heartily. For deceived by the snakes, she was very much afflicted by woe. And she said, let Marut, the wind god, protect thy wings, and Surya and Soma, thy vertebral regions. Let Agni protect thy head, and the Vasus, thy whole body. I also, O child, engaged in beneficial ceremonies, shall sit here for your welfare. Go then, child, in safety to accomplish thy purpose. So, this is the nature of Brahmana. And in the previous century, or even up to last 30, 40 years ago, also, I have seen in one of the television videos, because in those days we had only television. There was one yagna that was performed somewhere in Tirupati, I believe. There is something called arani. That is a stick that's like your nanchak in for the karate people. It's easy to identify. It's with a um, rope with two sticks, which we used for churning. And how it is being churned? Why do we churn it? Where it is being used? It is used in the fire sacrifices. The Brahmin, senior Brahmin, with vows, rigid vows, would put his feet in amidst wood, and it will be his leg will be churned. The heat and fire will be produced from his body. So fire do not hurt a Brahmana of rigid vows. On the other hand, he would obey the commands of the Brahmana. So this is how the holy fire is generated, not by camphor, not by matchbox, not by lighter, but by this way it is generated, and it is used for sacrifice. So this is how the sacrifices are performed when they have uh, produced a fire like this. So this is the power of virtuous Brahmin, and people out of foolishness are hating them. This kind of people can take away your sins. So people like Stalin and others, they should reflect on their thoughts, or even son of Mulayam Singh Yadav. I forgot his name. Um, Akhilesh Yadav. So these kind of people are rare to find. Anyway, continuing with the story. Sauti continued. Then Garuda, having heard the words of his mother, stretched its wings, ascended to the skies, and endued with great strength, he soon fell upon the Nishadas, hungry like another Yama. Yama is the god of destruction. He bent upon slaying the Nishadas. He raised great quantity of dust that overspread the firmament, and sucking up the water from amid the ocean, shook the trees growing on the adjacent mountains. And then that lot of bird obstructed the principal thoroughfares of the town, and the Nishadas by his mouth, increasing its orifice at will. And the Nishadas began to fly in great haste in the direction of the open mouth of the great serpent eater. And as a birds in affliction ascended by thousands into the sky, where the trees in the forest are shaken by the winds. So those Nishadas, blinded by the dust raised by the storm, entered in the wide extending cleft of Garuda's mouth, open to receive them. And then hungry Lord of all rangers of the skies, that oppressor of enemies, endued with great strength, unmoving with greatest celerity to achieve his end, closed his mouth, killing innumerable Nishadas, following the occupation of fishermen. This ends the 28th section of Astika Parva of Adi Parva. The 29th section of Adi Parva in Astika Parva in Adi Parva. So they continued, a certain Brahmana with his wife has entered the throat of the rangers of the skies. Former began to burn and choke like a piece flaming charcoal. Him Garuda addressed, saying, O best of Brahmanas, come out soon from my mouth, which I open for thee. A Brahmana must never be slain by me, although he may be always engaged in sinful practices. On to Garuda, who had thus addressed him, the Brahmana said, Oh, let this woman of the Nishada caste, who is my wife, also come out with me. And Garuda said, taking that woman also of the Nishada caste with thee, come out soon. Save thyself without delay, since thou hast not been digested by the heat of my stomach. So they continued, and then that Brahmana, accompanied by his wife of Nishada caste, came out and praising Garuda, wended whatever way he liked. And when that Brahmana had come out with his wife, the Lord of Birds, fleet as mind, stretching his wings, ascended the skies. And that great Rishi, oh, he then saw his father and, hailed by him, Garuda of incomparable prowess, made proper answers. And that great Rishi then asked him, that is Kasyapa. Kasyapa, if you remember the previous ones, is son of Kasyapa. Asked him, O child, is it well with thee? Dost thou get sufficient food every day? Is there food in plenty for thee in the world of men? Garuda replied, My mother is very well, and so is my brother. So am I. But father, I do not always obtain plenty of food, for my peace is incomplete. So I am sent by snakes to fetch the excellent Amrita. Indeed, I shall fetch it today for emancipating my mother from her bondage. My mother command me, saying, Eat thou the Nishadas. I have eaten them by thousands, but my hunger is not appeased. Therefore, O worshipful one, point out to me some other food by eating which, O master, I may be strong enough to bring the way of Amrita by force. Thou shouldst indicate some food which wherewith I may appease my hunger and thirst. See, this is how the slave life is not getting enough food. And these Nishadas are actually sinful people. That's the reason why his mother said, Go and kill all those Nishadas. They have been looting people not only by their profession was fisherman profession, but they were also looting people and killing them, innocents. So that's the reason why she addressed him to do that for his food. Kashyapa replied, This lake thou seest is sacred. It has been heard even in the heavens that there is an elephant with the face downwards who continuously draggeth a tortoise, his elder brother. I shall speak to you in detail of their hostility in former life. Just listen to as I tell you why they are here. There was an old great rishi named of Vibhatsu. He was exceedingly wrathful and he had a younger brother named Supratika. The latter was averse to keeping his wealth jointly with his brother, and Supratika would always speak of partition. Sometime his brother Vibhavasu told Supratika, his name is Vibhavasu, sorry. Vibhavasu told Supratika, it is from the great foolishness that person blinded by love of wealth always decide to make a partition of their patrimony. After effecting a partition, they fight with each other deluded by wealth. Then again, enemies in the guise of friends cause estrangements between the ignorant and selfish men. Alter, they become separated in wealth, and pointing out faults confirm their quarrels, so that the latter soon fall one by one. The absolute ruin very soon overtakes the separated. For those reasons, the wise never speak of approvingly of partition among his brothers who, when divided, do not regard the most authoritative shastras and live always in fear of each other. But as though Supratika, without regarding my advice, impelled by the desire of separation, always wishest to make an arrangement about your property, thou shalt become an elephant. Supratika thus speak to Vibhavasu, thou shall also become a tortoise moving in the midst of the waters. See, both brothers cursed each other. One has become tortoise, one has become elephant. Supratika became the elephant, and Vibhavasu became the tortoise. And on the account of wealth of those two fools, Supratika and Vibhavasu, from each other's curse, have become elephant and tortoise, respectively, owing to their wrath. They have become inferior animals, and they are engaged in hostilities with each other, proud of their excessive strength and weight of their bodies. And in the lake, two beings of huge bodies are engaged in acts according to their former hostility. Look here. One amongst them, the handsome elephant of huge body, is now approaching. Hearing his roar, the tortoise, also of huge body, living within the waters, cometh out, agitating the lake violently. And seeing him, the elephant, curling his trunk, rusheth into the water, and endured with great energy the motion of his tusks, the forepart of his trunk, and the tail, and his feet. He agitates the water of the lake, abounding with fishes. The tortoise of also great strength, with upbraided head, cometh forward for an encounter. And the elephant is 6 yojanas in height, and twice that measure in circumference. And the height of the tortoise is also 3 yojanas, and his circumference 10. It, though up both of them that are madly engaged in the encounter and bent upon slaying each other, and then accomplish a task that thou desirest. Eating that fierce elephant, which looks like a huge mountain and resembles mass of dark clouds, bring thou Amrita. So they continued, having said unto Garuda, Kasyapa blessed him, blessed be thou. When art in combat with the gods, let water pitchers fill to the brim. Brahmanas, kine, and other auspicious objects, bless thou, thou oviporous one, and thou of great strength. When thou art engaged with the gods' combat, let the rik, aegis, samas, and the sacred sacrificial butters, all the mysteries constitute thy strength. Here, mysteries means Upanishads. Garuda, thus addressed by his father, wended to the side of that lake. He saw that expanse of clear water with birds of various kinds all around, and seized the elephant and the tortoise, one in each other claw. And that bird then soared high into the air. He became he came upon the sacred place called Alamba, and saw many divine trees. And struck by the wind raised by his wings, those trees began to shake with fear. And those divine trees, having golden boughs, feared that they would break. And the ranger of the skies, seeing that those trees capable of granting every wish were quaking with fear, went to the trees of incomparable appearance, and those gigantic trees were adorned with fruits, gold and silver, branches of precious gems, that they were washed with the water of the sea, and there were large baniyan among them, which had grown into gigantic portions that spake unto the bird, cursing towards with the fleetness of the mind. Sir, sit thou on this large branch of mine, extending 1,000 yojanas, and eat the elephant and tortoise. When that best of birds, great swiftness of the body, resembling a mountain, quickly alighted upon a bough of that banyan tree, the resort of thousands of winged creatures, that bough full of leaves shook and broke down. This ends 29th section of Astika Parva, Adi Parva. See, when Garuda sat on the branch, uh, he didn't want to break it, but he accidentally broke such a huge banyan tree branch, and under he and the living creatures on that have also fallen down. But he held the branch in his hands. Now I'm going to talk the 30th section of. I'm going to stop here and then record it later for the 30th section. It's already 25 minutes.